All right, talking about scenarios now, and all the conference championship games.
Chaos.
Chaos.
That's what
That's
we need.
not.
That's what we want. But not
Yeah. We
controlled
don't need too
chaos.
much chaos for
Controlled
Bama
chaos.
fans at least.
You know, it reminds me of a couple weeks ago in Alabama. One of the labs, a chemical got loose, and they took the chemical out into a parking lot. It was a controlled.
We need controlled
explosion.
chaos.
We need a controlled explosion.
Yes. Let's talk about the Pac-12.
Start on the
championship
West
first.
Coast because they're playing on Friday.
They're playing on Friday night. You got Stanford and USC a rematch
Right.
with USC winning earlier in the year.
Stanford, very disappointed in Stanford. I was pulling for them hard in one game this year. They let me down. I was pulling against them in one game this year, and they won. So whatever I do, they're probably going to do the opposite.
Stanford's kind of played. They've played a lot better towards the end of the season as the team kind of grows. Bryce Love can play.
He definitely can. He definitely can play. And I love their coach.
David Shaw.
I've always loved him. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good guy. He knows his stuff.
But then you got USC. USC is just too much talent, I think.
They're too much talent, but to me, they're like that kid in PE that's the most talented guy at the school, but he's playing PE basketball. You know?
Yeah.
They've got a lot of talent, and they don't ever do anything with it.
Yeah, they've got Darnold. Darnold last year was the hot pick for anybody. And
I just don't understand how he's the number one rated quarterback right now.
Golly, it's like he's been trying to do too much. Last year there was some more talent on USC with like Adoree Jackson and Juju Smith and all those guys. But this year there's not as much talent. I think Sam Darnold's just trying to do too much. He's like
I agree.
He's like the big dog sophomore teetering between JV and varsity.
Exactly.
Who's trying to make his case.
He's
making some mistakes.
I've got USC in that game just
I think
because
USC wins.
I'm pulling for Stanford.
I think a Stanford win would be better for Alabama just to eliminate any kind of chaos for USC. Any kind of case for USC's chance to make it in the playoffs.
So let's move up north a little bit. Let's go over to the Mountain West.
Mountain West. What does this game mean? This game means a lot for Bama fans.
This is huge.
You got Fresno State and you got Boise State in the rematch from last week. Fresno State winning. They're 9-3. 9-3.
They're ranked.
Yeah, they're ranked number 25 in the latest
playoff
poll, and that gives Alabama another ranked win. Even if
huge.
Even if it's the FSU, we didn't think it would be at the beginning of the year. It is Fresno State. A win for Fresno State over Boise would be
the Mountain West Conference Championship would be
huge.
That
Coming down to an argument between
Alabama
and Ohio State that we'll get into later.
Yeah, we'll get there. But we need
a win there would be big.
That would be big.
It'd be
in my opinion, that's just as big as a regular season loss by one of the other teams.
Yeah, that's a 10-3. That's a 10-3 Fresno State team who wins the Mountain West.
And if you remember, they put up 20 on us.
I think it was it wasn't that. It might have been 41-13 or something like that.
They scored the ball.
Yeah, they moved the football. Fresno State's not a bad football team. All right,
and that gets me into my prop with the committee, and just your public. I think people get too caught up on names, also.
I agree. Like, you see tradition.
If Ohio State was in the same, if you took Ohio State's team and put them under a TCU, is TCU in the conversation right now? No. TCU gets beat by 31. They're laughed at.
You think of 2014 when Ohio State got in. Granted, they won the national championship and they were the best team in football that year.
Oh, yeah.
But they got in over TCU and Baylor, who were probably more deserving.
I don't know. You lose the first game of the year. It's your second string. That was a close one. I think Ohio State deserved it that
But
year.
I think tradition and brand does come in to play with the committee
100%.
and what they.
It's
how they
impossible
think of
to have an unbiased
of course.
committee.
There's 3 people on the committee that won't be able to vote in this upcoming poll, the Selection Sunday poll, because of ties to teams. I can't remember all their names, but one of them is the Ohio State athletic director, and one of them is Frank Beamer, the old coach for Virginia Tech, because his son's he's an assistant of some sort for Georgia. So if Georgia were to win, he would be able to vote.
Exactly. And so let's move over a little bit. We've already talked about the 2 big games for Alabama. Let's go to the ACC Championship.
The ACC Championship. Clemson and Miami.
To me, slaughter.
I think Clemson's a very good football team.
They are a very good football team. If you remember last year, they struggled throughout the regular season, struggle wins all over the place, overtime wins, last second field goals.
They should have been beat by North Carolina State last year.
North Carolina State.
Kicker missed the field goal.
But, when it comes down to it, Clemson shows up. Dabo gets them ready. They show up. I think Clemson will dominate Miami in
Kelly
every
Bryant's
aspect.
getting healthy.
He's healthy and he's getting better.
I don't know how good Miami is. I mean, Miami, they're 10-1. They had that game canceled because of Irma.
Irma, yeah.
But I don't know how good they are. I mean,
I
the
don't
Notre
either.
Dame win.
You
The Notre Dame win. You want to talk about that? Notre Dame's fallen off the map. Notre Dame is LSU.
Notre Dame is the LSU of
Yeah, Notre Dame's LSU or Mississippi State. They're not that great of a football team.
I mean, you come out and you think they're nothing. Then they
Yeah.
have about 3 weeks, 4 weeks where they get overhyped, and then they get blown out.
yeah, I mean they got
So
the win.
we don't really know how good of a win that is. But I do know that they lost to 5-7 Pitt last week.
5-7 Pitt and did not look good.
Did
24-14
not
should have
look
been
good at all.
24-7.
It really
They
should have
literally
been.
got that onside kick at the end, and they were losing with a few minutes to go versus Florida State, and threw a last-second touchdown to beat them. They struggled with Syracuse.
They have struggled all
They
year.
struggled with Georgia Tech. They
Uh,
struggled with North Carolina, who I think is 3-9.
They're not
They've
a-
struggled all year.
And
So-
if they win, they're going to be in. And so, as a team wanting to play them, that would be nice if we got in and played
Yeah,
them.
very
But
nice.
I think a Miami win puts the chance of 2 ACC teams in.
I think a Clemson win is better because that eliminates Miami from any sort of contention. And if Miami were to win, obviously they're going to be in as ACC champions and with a 1 loss.
Exactly.
Clemson would have a shot to sneak in that 4 spot over in Alabama.
Right. They have
Because-
wins over number 2 Auburn, which would most likely become number
Yes,
1
the
at that point
head-to-head.
if
The
they won.
head-to-head.
You have the head-to-head with us and Clemson playing Auburn. They have wins over Virginia Tech, NC State, a South Carolina team that was
Yeah,
ranked
South
last
Carolina
week.
team that was ranked last week, and they're a good football
They're a
team.
good
Like,
football team.
the
The
Syracuse
committee
loss
loves
is
them.
really bad.
It's a bad.
Don't get me wrong, but Kelly Bryant was hurt in that game. That's no excuse
They
to
were
lose to
losing
Syracuse. No
when he
excuse.
went
To,
out.
yeah, there's
They
no
were
excuse
already
to lose to
losing when he
Syracuse.
got
I don't care who your quarterback is. If you're a caliber of team,
Yeah.
as Clemson,
I
like
could
an
play quarterback
Alabama,
and
like
beat
an
them.
Ohio State,
Right.
you can't lose that game. But the resume for Clemson and the head-to-head win over Auburn that's just going to fire up a new debate of
Exactly.
Alabama or Clemson who gets in.
Right. So let's talk about possible outcomes here. So we just shed a little light on it there. If Clemson were to lose to Miami, you have the and the chalk holds everywhere else. Then that brings the possibility of Clemson slipping in over us, which I think the committee would do.
I think it would
I
definitely
think
be a debate.
you'd have an Auburn a 1, Oklahoma 2, Wisconsin 3, Clemson 4. And who wouldn't want to see that Auburn Clemson rematch?
Jarrett Stidham finally finding his groove.
Yeah, the quarterback can't play much better than he did against Alabama.
Yeah, he's been on fire
Now,
towards the end of the year.
say TCU were to win and Ohio State were to win, I think you see the Buckeyes and Alabama get in.
If TCU were to beat Oklahoma and Ohio State were to beat Wisconsin, and you say Auburn wins and
Auburn
Clemson
wins and
I
Clemson
think,
wins.
yeah, in that scenario, I think you get a Clemson 1, Auburn 2, probably an Alabama 3, and an Ohio
You
State
think.
4. Because I don't think they want to see an SEC national championship game. Even if it's an Iron Bowl rematch, I don't think they
Just
want to see that.
imagine, Austin. Imagine the outrage.
If there was an
At
Iron
an
Bowl
SEC
rematch,
Iron
if there was
Bowl
an
rematch
Iron Bowl
for the
rematch for the
championship.
national championship, I
We'd
think
go
the
to a
state.
10-person committee.
Yeah, I think the state would. It would be crazy for the whole week after that. It would be the most anxiety-driven week ever.
I don't even think I'd care about the game. I think I'd be so worried and just anxious about the week that I probably wouldn't even watch the game. I don't think I can handle another Iron Bowl.
But let's get to the topic. Alabama, Ohio State.
That's
'Cause
really
that's-
what this is about.
Ultimately gonna be the scenario.
Right.
So,
Both teams have their cases. Both teams have their flaws.
the argument for Ohio State is they're Big Ten champions, but are all conferences really equal though? I mean,
No,
if you look at the Big Ten, the Big Ten has Penn State ranked in the top 10, but Penn State, that loss to Michigan State just proves that they're not ready to be an elite college football
They
program.
were
anymore.
overhyped. Saquon Barkley was the front runner, and then ever since they got that hype, when the fourth quarter hit against Ohio State, they fell off with that.
I mean, in my opinion is you cannot put Ohio State in over Alabama even if they win the conference. I mean, the 31-point loss to Iowa and giving up
Good team,
55.
top 4 teams do not get blown out by that.
No, they don't. It's like, just imagine if Alabama was in the scenario
Oh, exactly.
of say they have the Auburn loss. The Auburn loss is kind of like the Oklahoma loss, except we weren't at home. And then you have the just say we get beat by 31 and give up 55 to like an A&M.
That's essentially what it is.
It's a 7-5 program, but Alabama's at like 10 or 11 if that happens. We don't have a shot,
No, not anywhere near.
even if we're in the SEC championship game.
And the bottom line, and we'll discuss Alabama Ohio State in the next video. Bottom line is We need controlled chaos.
Controlled
Anything can happen,
chaos.
and there is a legitimate chance of about 10 teams making it to the playoff this year, which is insane.
That's what they said on the playoff show, but I mean, I think you can definitely eliminate a few of those.
Right.
But
Penn State's not getting in.
Penn State's not
TCU's
getting in. TCU, Herbstreit
And
on
if
the playoff
TCU
show said that.
blew them out of the water, they'd have a good chance, but that won't happen.
Kirk Herbstreit said on the playoff show TCU has a chance, but I just don't see it. I just
Yeah.
don't see it. Even if they win, going from 11 to 4,
It'd
they have
be a
to
big
dominate.
jump.
They have to dominate.
It'd be a big
that
jump. But
game.
we'll get to the big argument in this next video.
Yeah.